Hi, I'm Pam and I'm in New Zealand and I have designed this really cool hairdresser's tote. The flap is removable, it just clips off, and there's two inserts, each with four little pockets for scissors or combs, whatever a hairdresser uses. I'm not a hairdresser, so I really don't know. I designed this for a friend who is a hairdresser and who had some ideas of mine of what she wanted. So that's how I came up with the design. So basically it can go around your waist like this. And I'll show you how the top comes off. So it's just domed on. So you wouldn't want the flap when you're working. You just want the tote around your waist like this. The inserts, if you decide that you don't want, comes with the two front pockets, of course. You can see the two front pockets. This part here pulls the bag closed, or you can have it open like that. Right, and these inserts here dome off and on. So if you want to clean them, or if you want your scissors out on a bench. So there's two of those. And I use jean studs to hold them in place. You can just use press studs. Jean studs are really good, so it's just something like those sorts of things. And inside the bag looks like that. Pretty easy, and so you can clean it. So with the sides being able to be pulled apart. So if I undo that, and just give that a little bit of a tug like that. There we go. So it opens it up. So if you want to get a vacuum in there and clean all the hair out, you can. Nice and easy. So yes, I show you in my video how to actually make it, cut out what holes to punch, and it's a really good downloadable pattern in A4 and A3, since a lot of people have printers that do A3. I thought I might as well do A3 size as well. So DFX as well, or DFX, I always get that muddled up, but it's the correct file for if you have a laser. Anyway, good luck and thank you, and I hope you enjoy the video and the pattern. Cheers! Here is a quick look at what your pattern will look like, with little markings in orange for placements. For my bag, I am using 2 to 3 ounce vegetable tan premium goat skin. It is very wrinkly. I have watered it and tried to pressure flatten it, but it's still very wrinkly. So there's a few little tricks that I have to use as I'm making my project just to cover those wrinkles. Punch out all your holes. I am using a multi-punch here, which is 5mm apart, but there are areas where you need a single hole punch because not all the spacing is exactly 5mm apart. I decided to try using heavy webbing for this part here. The pattern piece has got a piece that you can cut out of matching leather or a contrasting colour. My webbing's a little bit wider than my pattern piece, but I'm going to make it work. And yes, you've got to go ahead and cut out all those pieces ready for stitching up. I've just got a little bit of belly here that I'm using for the pockets and the buckle straps and buckle holder. It's just a little bit of contrast. I wanted to see if it would work, and we will see at the end if it does. And it has to be dyed, unlike the rest of the leather. And these are all the pieces that you will have cut out ready before you start stitching. Starting with the longest piece of your pattern, we are going to start by doing all the folds. Now you want to do the folds on the inside. Give it a good hard crease, and then you start stitching over and closing them up. On the top, where there is all the little slots, that is where you start. But don't go and do the little cover stitch over the top. We leave that and we come back to that when we stitch along the entire top of that piece. At the moment, you're just doing the folds, And then when you get to the bottom, you do a stitch over the bottom just to keep that tight and closed, because we won't be working down that end again. And you see your little holes match. See how I haven't done over the top there? Yeah. Carry on down to the end, and once it's done, nice and tidy, you've got your fold. And then I will show you, I have done a little stitch over the end and not that end. Keeps it nice and tidy and easy to work. Do all 6 of them, and then we can do the next step. Now we're doing the top stitch right along the top, and we're actually doing the little loops over each of the folds and behind the fold. So feel free to stop the video and get a closer look, or to rewind to make sure that you get this right, but do it all the way along the top. I do a fair bit of top stitching around this bag. I just think it gives a really nice finish to different areas. My sample bag that I first did, I didn't do any top stitching on, so you don't have to if you don't want to, but you do want to do those little covers over those folds, those little stitch over the folds, just to make them tight and safe if you're not doing the top stitch. Just showing you now where to put the domes. They are on the folds, and you've got to make sure that you put them the right way. So feel free to stop the video to have a really good look to make sure you get them right, because this is something you don't want to get wrong, because they're really hard to get out. I do use jean studs because they are the strongest. This is the piece that you attach, and then it goes through all those little loopholes. This is so that you can expand the bag and then tighten it up. I quickly thread each end of this piece through a loop each, just to make the next step easier. This is what the flap gets attached to, so we have to attach some domes here as well. Right, you just want to stitch that long rectangle and get that done before the next step. This is the 2 placements for the press studs or the domes. So attach 2 of your pieces here. See in the picture, this is how the flap is attached. Now to add in a rivet, then a D-ring, then a rivet, and then 3 stitches along each side. 2 D-rings are what the hip band or the waistband or your belt will be attached to. So you want to make sure that they're strong. That's why they're riveted and stitched in place. the same process whether you're using the webbing like I have, or whether you're going to cut the leather strap that is part of the pattern. This part is totally optional. They're like little feet, but I've put it on the inside, and I've actually put the pieces upside down so everything matches inside the bag. It's just so that when it's put down on its edge, it's got a little protector. So if you wanted to, you could actually put rivets on the underside or feet on as well. Now you can thread your webbing or leather strap through all the loopholes, and this is always the fun part because you can see the bag starting to come together. Working on the flap, we add our little strap holders in place. It just means that the buckle straps has freedom to move up and down depending on how full the bag is. Making the buckle holders, I'm actually using earth magnets, but you can use one of those round magnets. I'll put a picture up for that. If you don't want to use the earth magnets, I just use a little bit of tape to hold them down so that they don't spring on top of each other. I chose to use 2 small ones because that's what I had in stock. The pattern does have the placements for the above round magnets. I'm making my 2 keepers out of the contrasting leather. Here I'm just showing you what the hidden magnets or the earth magnets look like and how well they work. If you're using those round magnets that I showed before, they of course will show on the underside of this buckle piece. Each of these long black straps needed top stitching right around, so I've done that, and I've attached my little buckles to the bottom, and then we actually slide them through the little loops, and then we need to actually stitch them on. You can do the top stitching right around the flap if you wish, or you can leave that out totally and just do it across the back where the domes go in. Each strap is marked either A or B. Do make sure that they are stitched in the correct spot on the flap and just stitch across. Now we add the top of the dome, so it's the nice side up and showing. Down below is a picture so you can see what it should look like. Now to the inserts with their holders. I just top stitch across the top, but the pattern comes with top stitching right around all four sides, so you can choose whether you want to do just across the top or right around each insert. All the holders are riveted on, but if you wish you could punch holes between the rivet holes and actually stitch them on as well. But I have found with the previous bags that I've made that the rivets hold on beautifully. I have nice little double-sided rivets, but you can use whatever rivets you have in stock as long as they're not too long, because you don't want them to fail. Quite often if they're too long for the thicknesses of leather that you're using, that they fail. So I suggest just have short ones that actually just cover the thickness of the three thicknesses that it's going through. Yes, the money I spent on these little attachments for this machine for double-sided rivets have been well worth it. So do all 8 holders, 4 on each insert. If you're using this tote or this tool bag for other purposes, you can make these holders any shape you like to allow for any kind of tool that you would like to use. Good to see that job done already. Now we're ready to do the other side of the domes for these. So they're the right side or the top side of the press studs. Take your time and make sure that you get the right side of the insert with the right side of the press stud. There's nothing worse than getting it wrong and having to undo it. So satisfying getting all these domes on. Click, click, click. I've attached a steel strip to the bottom part of my bag here, where you would normally attach your round bits of steel for your magnets to attach to. There are markers on the pattern piece for the round bit, but because of the ripple effect in this leather, I've chosen to do a strip. That way it gets hidden after I've done the stitching. It's just to hide the ripple effect, and it'll work well with my magnets. Now to just attaching the pockets to the front piece. This is easy enough, straightforward enough. Just follow and make sure that your stitching holes are in the correct spots, which are all marked on the pattern pieces. And if you choose to do the top stitch across the pocket, do that first before any other stitching. Now that that's done, now we can start on attaching this piece to the long piece or the back piece. When you look up the pockets, you can see that there's some blue stitching there. They are just some old bits of thread that I had that I've just used to stitch down the pockets in place so that it makes it easier for me to actually stitch right along the line, because it is actually quite a complicated bit to attach these two bits together. As I stitch along these two pieces, I do actually remove those blue stitches, and that very first one that you saw me tie. They're just placements, they're just there to make it easier. Now to stitching these two pieces together. The bigger piece, where my steel long pieces for my magnets, that there has all the ripply bits of leather, so I take my time doing this, and I managed to get it as flat as I can, and it actually looks really good finish. So using the ripply bits of leather is fine if you can find a way to work with it. I must say, I'm glad to get to the end of this row of stitching, that's for sure. Now you can see how I managed to get rid of all the ripply effect on this line. Very pleased with the finish. Now to sew down the first side, then we come across and sew across the front, and then we sew down the second side. See my mistake there? Glad I spotted that now rather than getting to the end of the row and having to unpick the whole lot. Now the bag is really looking finished, looking like we've got some where the sides are done, the front's done. Now to put the Chicago screws through your holes. They should just slide through nicely, either a 1.5 centimetre long or a 2 centimetre long. You don't want it too long, but you don't want it too tight either. These are in so you can remove them when you want to clean the bag, but you still want to be able to get them on nice and tight. And it does give a nice finish to the bottom of the bag. Working on these straps again, these are so the bags can expand, or you can pull them and pull the bag tightly closed. I've put a D-ring on one side and a hook on the other side. You can do whichever you like. You could put studs on here, you could put a buckle on here. For me, the easiest thing were these two options, but you don't want these too long and you don't want them too short. So expand the bag out and then decide where you want them to actually close and open. Cut them the length you want, put rivets on, sew them on. The strap that's in the pattern has one rivet hole, but the length may be a bit longer than you want or a little bit shorter than you want. So have a play around and make sure you get the right length. On the end stretch now, let's attach the flap and then get these buckles in the right place. Always good to add your own maker's mark as well, so deciding where to put it is up to you. I end up putting mine on the back. I won't bore you with the process of sewing this on. I'll just show you it completed, and I'm pleased with the finish. Very, very proud. Now your bag is finished, and I'm sure you're really proud with what you have achieved as well. Thank you so much for watching one of my videos. I hope you have enjoyed it, and I hope you have fun making this bag as well, and make it what you want it to be for your craft, whether it's hairdressing, leather work, or painting, or even doing electrical work or phone work, anything. There's lots of options for doing the inserts any which way you would like them. Thanks again. See you next time.
Tick-tock goes the clock, no sleep tonight. Thoughts running wild in the dim twilight. Counting sheep, but my mind's too loud. Drowning in dreams that I can't dream out loud. Silent whispers echo through the dark. Fears and wishes leave a lasting mark. Light from the moon keeps me awake, lost in a maze of the thoughts I can't shake. Staring at the ceiling as dawn draws near.